Welcome to The Art She Manages, the podcast celebrating remarkable women in arts and cultural management. I'm Alma, your host. Today I'm joined by Britta Horwath, director of the dance company at Theater Osnabrück in Germany. She began as a dance manager in 2021 and quickly rose to lead the company, navigating both challenges and opportunities along the way. We talk about collaborative leadership, the nuances of ensemble work, and how empathy and assertiveness shape her approach. Welcome to the show, Britta. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, let's start. Tell us more about your background and how did your love for ballet first begin?
I think like every small kid, I started going to ballet classes. I think my mom took me there when I was 5, and I did this for a long time, and I never really actually knew that there is a job like a ballerina, ballet dancer. And I think it was when I was maybe 13, 14 when I started also contemporary dance, and I discovered there is more than ballet. This was also the time when I saw my first pieces, but also still not very much actually. And it came, the older I got, the more I was engaged actually with technique and with developing the own language. And then I was like, oh, actually there is a job you can do. And that was how I really fell in love with dance in general, but I've never danced professionally on my own. So I always took the different direction. Then I had this big love for dance, but yes, it was never my profession, ballet or dancing.
So it was your very big passion.
Yes.
Great. And you studied cultural media in Ludwigsburg. And then theater and orchestra management in Frankfurt. So you mentioned that you never danced professionally. So did you already envision your career path on this managerial side right from the get-go?
No, actually not. I always knew somehow that I have an interest in art and culture and dance, but I also always had an interest in social working, educational, pedagogical perspective. So when I did my A-levels, I wasn't sure what to do, and I knew I somehow want to do something with culture, but actually I didn't know what you can do in arts field and what, except from dancing or being a musician, what else is there? To be honest, no one ever tells you that. So I Googled bachelor degrees and I found this culture and media education program in Ludwigsburg. And I thought it's actually interesting because it combines my wish for art, my wish for music, and the one of theater and literature. So it combines my interest, but also there is still pedagogical side. And I thought this is actually perfect for me for the beginning. And the more I digged into this and the more I realized I'm actually quite good in the pedagogical part, but I had the feeling there has to be more. There is more I can do. I want to learn more. I want to have more responsibility. I want to understand it more. And then I did an exchange year in Helsinki, or it was a 1 semester, 6 months. And I did a cultural management and I realized, oh, this is actually quite interesting. And I had a friend from the bachelor who did this theater and orchestra management master, and she told me, and I was like, yeah, I think this could be interesting. And parallel to this, I worked also in a production dance house in Stuttgart. So there came many things together. And this was the first time I'm like, actually, there is something I can do in this field, and this could be interesting. And that's how I decided for these different programs.
And you started at Theater Osnabrück right after graduating, yeah? As a dance manager.
Yes.
And what were some of your main responsibilities in that role? And what were the first challenges you encountered?
I was responsible for basically all the organizational things, for kind of the back office. I was the only one in the team who was not in the studio, who was in all the meetings, who did the connection within the house with the artists. Yeah, basically like a communication center. And one of the challenges was, I think, to combine all these organizational things, the structure of a theater with the wishes of the art, and then balancing all of the different needs, like the needs of the dancers, the needs of the head of the department, the needs of the intendant, the needs of a marketing department. It's like in a theater, very many needs actually. And I was kind of a center where everything came together.
But did you feel prepared for this kind of role?
Yeah, actually, yes. I appreciate very much the master I did. We were a small group. We learned a lot of practical things, like simple things no one normally tells you is like, how do you read a dispo? or how to negotiate contracts. And we did a lot of things actually in this master program, which helped me a lot. Nevertheless, I never got a kind of an introduction into this job. So I came on the first day of the season, then someone told me, here's your office, and that's it. So I felt good prepared in a way of, I was good prepared from my university, but within the theater, no one really has time. So you need to find your own way around.
Intimidating.
Yes, it was actually. My first thought was like, okay, that's the computer. Let's switch it on and have a look if there is an email, because I didn't know what to do at the first. But it comes, everything comes to you, and then suddenly you're stuck into work.
So learning by doing, yes.
Exactly.
And after just a few seasons, you were promoted to director of the dance company. And
Yes.
what were the biggest hurdles in stepping into this leadership position at such young age?
Yes, I mean, I got this promotion like in a very chaotic and in a very emotional time for the company. And I think I never really enjoyed getting this promotion actually, because I really had to work immediately and function immediately and stabilize the company and doing a lot of things in a very hurried time. I think which was good is I'm not alone, the director. So we are like a double leading team. I have a direct colleague, Laszlo, he's a ballet master and rehearsal director. So I was lucky to have this second person and we could stick together. Actually, it was functioning immediately and it was not thinking a lot. It was just doing it and keeping this, like bringing stability back, preparing the next season. First season, of course, was a challenge because I didn't know what is coming and how does it work. Also, we changed also the structure with this change of the direction when we came. We are not having any more a choreographer on the house. We changed into this more curated model. So it also means to change the whole system, which was here for a long, long time in Osnabrück. And people knew that system and they knew their choreographer. And suddenly they're coming all the time, different people. So it was working immediately and like really I didn't have time to think a lot actually.
Can you give some very even if it's superficial, it's not a problem, background, so just listeners understand what exactly you were going through and the theater was going through in that moment?
I mean, it was a very short notice change. Director decided to leave, a choreographer decided to leave the house, which is just normal that then you have to change quickly the direction and the strategy, and you have to adjust quickly because normally there's a little bit more time in before and you plan seasons. And in that moment, there was the decision to go very soon to the end of the season. And then we said, okay, then we have to be quick and change things. And we have to stabilize the company because, of course, they were also not sure what happens. And the idea of this changing model was new. That was roughly the situation. But I have to say, we had a good trust from company side, from the intendant, from also the colleagues around. So in that case, I think we managed it quite well in this quick, chaotic transformation, actually.
Well, theater environment is definitely very, very exciting.
Yes.
My next question is designed to be a little bit more thought-provoking, so to say. So when talking about women in leadership positions or in general more senior profiles, people often mention the glass ceiling phenomenon, but there is not enough awareness about the glass cliff. When women are promoted to top positions during times of crisis, and increasing the chances of failure. I mean, thank God that wasn't your case, and you got a tremendous help of the whole theater. Nevertheless, you were appointed to the role of a director of the company, and you carried a lot of weight in the whole process of stabilizing the crisis. So what are your thoughts of this so-called glass cliff?
Actually, I was thinking a lot about this because I'm not sure about it. In my case, I am not sure if there was really this glass cliff because I was already there and somehow I knew the situation. I didn't have to come into a new situation, figure everything out. I think this is probably most of the time the problem in that moment when something happens and then someone new comes in and has to save it. And I'm not sure if it's a female thing or if it's just maybe also a young thing, because I have often the feeling they want this new young voice and then they put in someone who has a lot of new ideas and wants to change structures. but the change of structure was never really prepared. So, and then it's the failure of this new person. But actually, I think it's the failure of the people who decided who's coming to do this position, because they should have thought about structures, about change, and do we maybe need to change a structure, a system, before we bring in someone new, or bring in someone new and create a new structure to deal with that chaotic situation.
Yeah, interesting point. And you're a female and young leader.
I have to say, in this case, I really had we had a big support from in-house. I think this is also something when there is no support from in-house, from the colleagues, from the boss who actually ask you to do this, then I think you can do whatever you want, but it will not stabilize. But in that way, I felt a trust from different sides, and we decided to do it together. Also, in responsibility of the people in the company. There are dancers who maybe followed a choreographer to a theater. There are dancers who are very young, and to give them somehow stability in the perspective and not being afraid of what happens next.
Yeah, true. And now that you lead the company, do you find enough time to develop your own artistic ideas, like new strategies, or do purely managerial, like office tasks, dominate your daily life?
Yes, I actually wish to have more time to deal with this question and with the artistic questions, because often daily life hits. And for me, holidays, and also I'm trying to traveling a lot to see other shows and getting to know choreographers and all this helps me so much to get out of this daily life and to really think and focus on artistic vision and ideas. I'm actually trying still to find a way to implement this more in my daily life, because it's hard, even if you block yourself days for thinking. You're like, okay, then there happens something and you have to deal with different things. I wish I could do it sometimes more, because daily life always hits, and especially when it's about curating a new program, finding dramaturgical lines, or also accompanying a production. I'm also the dramaturg in the productions. I often have the feeling I'm not able to do everything 100%.
Yeah, understandable. So you need an assistant.
Yes, that would be nice.
So what skills or personal qualities do you rely on most as a dance director now?
I think it has to do a lot with the feeling for people, like an empathy, an ability to listen,
Soft
to an
skills, yeah.
ability to take people serious, a feeling for people. I think it's important to see people and like to see them, really see them, and try to figure out what type are they, what do they need, how do they work, how can I guide them, because some of them, because it doesn't, like, leading is not that you do one thing for all people you have like in your team. You need to have a feeling for the different people, and some of them are, yeah, you give them a rough direction and they do their things, but some of them need to be more supported, or are suffering more, or questioning things more, and they need more guidance in a different direction. So I think it has to do a lot with empathy, listening, taking people serious, and yeah, soft skills, a feeling for who is the person in front of me.
Well, that's very interesting because that leads me to my next question. Dancers work very much in ensembles, especially in contemporary dance companies, where there isn't a strong and defined hierarchy, as in classical ballet troupes, for example, where you have like Etoile or La Prima Ballerina. So, how do you balance different personality types within your company?
I mean, first of all, we are not so many people in the company. It's not that we are a huge company. We're not State Ballet Berlin or something. But nevertheless, we have really very different types of people in the company. And because we are smaller, it gives me the possibility to have a connection to all of them. So, of course, sometimes I have a little bit more to with them, or with them, it depends. But in generally, I have a relationship to everyone. And of course, I'm also not alone. That also maybe helps me or us, is like Laszlo is there, and he's a person who's always in the company, in the studio with the people. Yeah, someone who also has a lot of experience, actually, a lot of knowledge of people. So, and I'm a little bit the one who sees a lot from the outside, like the dynamics. And I think this helps a lot. And it is also, yeah, to see what people need. Like some people take their things. They are like, okay, I want to do this, and then they just do it. Or they see an opportunity and they jump on it. But also some other people, they see these opportunities, or they wish they would do something, or they would wish something, but they are not doing it. And I think we can be the ones who see the difference. And I don't need to push someone on an opportunity who takes the opportunity on their own. But I see there is someone who's interested in something, but is not aware or does not trust him or herself if she or he can do it. So I try to give the opportunity and give them the responsibility. When people get responsibility and they feel that they are trusted, they are open to negotiate things and to discuss things with each other. And because you're also mentioning in your question this like stereotypes and challenges, the interesting thing in this company is actually that I don't have the feeling that these challenges and stereotypes and these expectations are coming so much from the company. We have a very curious and very open-minded company. And I sometimes have the feeling that these stereotypes and these expectations are coming more from the outside, are coming more from the audience, for example, kind of expectation of what is a dance company.
And have you encountered any specific challenges or resistance from the audiences, and especially from the regular theater goers?
I mean, yeah, it's the expectation of what is dance, what is a dance company. Or in this case, I have a little bit a mixture of strategies. Like once is like listening, asking, but also explaining. At the end, also just doing the thing and not so much caring in a way of why are we doing things. It's like having a plan, and if we believe on that plan, we can stick to it. And it's important to bring people on board, but not lose the strategic way just because someone has another idea of it.
Well, that's very interesting, because I think this is something that every performing arts company, like whether it's a dance company or an ensemble of opera singers or a troupe of actors, deals with. Because the audience, I mean, there is no theater without the audience. So it's crucial to balance these aspects.
Exactly. And that's why it's an exchange, giving them the chance to understand and get on board and to learn, like we also do, like we also learn. And sometimes someone is coming around and tells me something. I'm like, hey, actually, this is a very good idea. Thank you. Never thought about this. And the other thing is like, okay, it's their theater. That's the other thing. It's their theater. Osnabrück people have their theater and they love it and they connect and they have seen already so many directors coming and going. So of course it's important for them because they are the ones who stick with it and to stay with it and continue going into performances.
And you have already mentioned that your company, I mean, they're like very open-minded people, and the fact that there are not so many members also helps to balance everything. But nevertheless, I mean, we're not living in an ideal world, and sometimes conflicts, just happen. So how do you handle them, or like different artistic opinions?
And creating a space for communication is, I think, an important thing. Is like sitting together or giving possibilities to exchange arguments and then maybe changing opinions. Making aware also for structure. We have at the end, we also have a structure which is coming from the theater. We sometimes cannot change, but it's sometimes easier to do something and go with something when you understand where it comes from. A real communication, offering the team to speak to each other and speak to us. So I'm never not available. And even if, I don't know, I'm 2-3 days away because I am, I don't know, with a festival, they know they can speak to us. And I think this is an important thing. It has to do something with tolerance also. It's like sometimes we have to do things because of a structure. And sometimes we have, I don't know, a choreographer, or we go in a direction where some people are not so much happy. And I think it's important to hear them and to involve it, but we will never be able to satisfy everyone all the time. It's too many people with too many ideas and too many individual visions. But to find a balance, to give everyone the possibility to be seen, be heard, and yeah, sometimes being maybe a little bit more engaged in the vision and sometimes a little bit less, but having it's all about balance, I always think.
So this is your go-to strategy, yeah? So to be
Yeah.
always there for them. They just know that they can trust you.
Yeah, and we take them serious. It's not that you can listen to people and still ignore it. Also listen to them, accept and take serious what they do, and then based on that decide the continue way.
What do you view as your responsibility towards the dancers of the company, and how invested do you feel in their long-term development and careers, even outside the theater?
I think it's a very big responsibility, and I feel very. You used the word invested, I think.
Yes, exactly, invested.
It because it's the whole art field, and the art is a very emotional and personal field. So you're not coming to office doing a couple of things which are not affecting you in a personal way and then leaving. You're always working with people. You're always working with their emotions. In the dance department, even more, you're working with their bodies. So all the things I'm doing and I'm deciding and the strategies we are having are referring immediately and directly to people. And I don't know, for example, I'm planning something wrong, then immediately the people have to deal with it. The dancers have to deal with it. Their body has to deal with it. They have to, I don't know, maybe too many shows in 1 week, or they have too many different things to do in 1 week because I did the mistake. So I think it's a very, very important to take this responsibility very serious, also outside, also in their future career. It's a short career. You're maybe 35, maybe a little bit older, but I would say mid of 30s, the career is coming to an end. So it has to do with caring body wise, but also supporting them in finding other interesting talents they have, or supporting them in things they want to learn. We have, for example, dancers who always want to learn to teach. So we give them the opportunity from time to time to teach their own colleagues, or to accompany a production as an assistant and learn this, because the job of a rehearsal director and ballet master is interesting for them, and like give them different opportunities and let them participating in also in projects in different ways.
Yeah, true, because like it's inevitable, like as you mentioned, the ballet career is so unforgivably short. It's like
Yeah.
absolutely insane. And the fact that like everybody has to develop plan B, plan C, plan D, and you name it, and the fact that you actually give this possibility is great.
Yeah, it's part of our responsibility. The people are first of all young, and the second is they will go out of a company and then suddenly they have to build up basically a second career. And imagine you're 35 and you have to start from scratch, and it's quite kind of a crazy and actually very scary thought as a non-dancer. And I know a lot, and I would say 99% probably already think from the beginning on, they know that the dance career is not endless, and they know that they have to think about possibilities after. And of course, it's also in Osnabrück similar. Often they have to do this in their free time because, of course, they still have a full-time job. But I think we have the responsibility to give them support, which means maybe, I don't know, writing them a recommendation letter for a university's degree they can do part-time next to their job, or yeah, sending them information about transition. I mean, there is a lot you can support them without big effort, actually.
You already mentioned that you are not working alone and that it's a team effort, but how much of your own artistic vision are you usually able to bring into a production?
Into a production, also this I think depends. Of course, I'm also speaking a lot with, for example, choreographers. This is my job also as a dramaturg and a curator, is like envision something, go to people, talk to them, explain it to them, try to get them on board, listen to their thing. So yes, I have sometimes the situation that productions, for example, turn out way different than I was expecting them. And this is also okay. You know, you have a production which has a special kind of role it has to fulfill something. For example, here in Osnabrück, we have this whole transcultural idea for the whole theater. So I try to implement my vision in this transcultural idea and then suggest this to a choreographer. And I'm also expecting that they take it serious if they want to do this piece.
My next question could sound a little bit more provocative, so let me know what you think. But as a young female leader, do you sometimes sense that you get a slightly different treatment compared to your male counterparts?
That's an interesting question because I'm trying to select people we are working with very carefully. Because I want that we have also for the company, I want people who really want to work with us and take us serious. In that case, I would say, no, I haven't experienced it yet. But I do have an interesting observation actually is the way how choreographers, mainly male choreographers, approach contacting, like, asking for jobs, emailing. And there is an interesting thing that sometimes I have the feeling is like if I say no, it's not accepted.
And you don't have that feeling with female choreographers?
First of all, they're not so aggressive with contacting, with like email, with it's more like if I say like no, at the moment we don't have any possibilities, thank you. Oh, thanks for the feedback, bye. Or yeah, I think your work is very interesting, but I don't think it fits to our dancers. Oh yeah, I totally understand, thank you. And the male response is way more like, yeah, but, and then it's coming a long email with like explanation why it's not, and that he can do something different as well. And I'm like, yeah, but I said, no, I don't need another explanation.
You know, it's very interesting. I have to think about this book. I don't remember the author, but the title is Women Don't Ask. Have you heard about this book?
No, but I can imagine what it's about.
It's about the fact that women, they're usually, paid less, not because they are less capable, but because they don't ask. Or maybe when you are like in this hiring process and you are supposed to negotiate your salary, but as a woman you are too afraid to ask. And you end up getting less money, and especially in the long run, because it all adds up, like years and years and years.
Yeah.
And men, they're just getting more opportunities because they ask.
Yeah. Yes, I can imagine this also with the choreographers. The interesting thing is, me as a woman, I get like distanced immediately when I have the feeling someone is like, can I? Then I'm like, no, now at all not. Sorry. I really appreciate it when there is a woman who asks, I really think it's like interesting. She comes on my list. And if I have the feeling the time comes, I'm like, oh yeah, this woman actually I could call her and talk with her. I'm not sure if this is for men different. If they're more like, oh yeah, this guy who contacted me so hard, just like invite him. For me, immediately says like, no, I don't want this guy anymore.
So my next question is slightly more personal. So what are the most rewarding and the most difficult aspects for you of leading a team of dancers?
The most rewarding, I think, is seeing people blooming, finding their way, also maybe over the dance career, seeing how they transition, how they are growing. For me, this curated model works very well, and I have seen in every piece someone else from a new perspective, and I have seen in every piece, like suddenly I was like, wow, that's the piece perfect for that person. But it's okay, everyone gets a chance, and I think this is super rewarding. And hard is for me the structure. Sometimes I would love to lead more on the base of what do we need, what do the dancers need, how can we use the structure for our needs, but often we have to do it other way around. There is a structure and we need to deliver in that structure. Especially in dance, the theater structure can sometimes be very harsh and limited because the structure doesn't care about the body. And I think it's not so much people, it's more the structure I have difficulties with.
Show must go on, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful actually. In a theater, you have a frame, you have a house, you have a resources, and then you can fill that frame with art. In the free scene, you have often the art and the idea, and then you have to build the structure. And I had both, though I also worked in the free scene before. And I think it's super. How amazing is it that we have the theater and we have the money and we have the frame and the dancers, but sometimes it's harder to be creative within a very structured frame than in having an idea and building up a structure around. So sometimes I would wish that we could combine that a little bit more, that it's a little bit more possible to also react more short notice, to use space maybe in a way of like, wow, there came up some idea, let's do it now. But no, it's not possible because we have to do that, and that, and then we can plan it for the season after.
So you wish sometimes more flexibility.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to other young professionals, and especially women, aspiring to leadership roles in the arts?
I think be brave. And I think this has to do also something with the book title you just named, claim your space and be demanding, but always be aware of listening, taking serious, and be like taking people serious, and be aware of your responsibility you have for human. I think it's an advice you can give to others, but you also have to give it to yourself all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, at the times it can be quite difficult, especially when you're like snowed under so many tasks, and to carve out that time and space for yourself can be quite challenging, I can imagine. And you know, finally, my favorite question, I say favorite because I asked actually Rose Hunt this question, and then I realized it's such a good question to ask every guest on the show because it can bring so many different perspectives. What do you wish somebody had told you about the industry before starting out? And what would you tell somebody who is just starting out in the industry?
I think also it's a really good question, and actually it's a good reflection for yourself every couple of months to do this, because it's like, okay, what did I actually not expect, and with what I do I have to deal now. And one thing which came to my mind, and it's a little bit funny actually, I think, because I wouldn't have expected that the industry is so emotional. It's so personal and so connected to people, their emotions, their current mood. And I think this is beautiful actually, because where we can work in a field where people really live for their job, but I didn't expect this. And my tip maybe would be, or I would have wished to get like this, to be prepared in this kind of, you have to deal with personal feelings of people.
That they're like sensitive, human
Sensitive, yes. And this is sometimes hard because sometimes you're like, hey, but it's not about, it's like a job and it's a profession and we are professional, but it's okay to that in this field it is very emotional and sensitive. And it's important in that case to keep then your own professionality and select between, does this really is something also which affects me personal and emotional, or is it somehow in reaction, or is it something I can accept and continue with a professional way? How can I embrace this maybe? How can I implement it? Stay calm. And actually, one of the best tips I would have, maybe people gave it to me, but it's hard, especially when you're just starting in the professional works, like keep your boundaries and say no. Never allow anyone to let you down, to push you down, to demand everything from you. Even if you love the job, there is like a space boundary, and you're allowed to say no. That's stop. Here is okay.
Coming back to that book, it's like a recurring theme of this conversation. Women don't ask, and women are afraid to say no, because if you say no, nobody's going to reach out to you anymore because you said once no and you are unreliable.
Yeah. And that's so stupid, because often the question before is super important to yourself, is like, what happens if I say no? Actually, world is not, like, I don't know, getting destroyed. So maybe not from that situation, at least. Maybe I should do it. And that's what I think. It's like empathy, for example, like female empathy and these soft skills are often such a pro but sometimes they harm us. And I have to say, these things and these tips I would give other people, and these kind of listen and open things, but have a structure and a clear way. I have to remind myself as well a lot about this. That's also one of these things I need to work a lot. Is like saying no, having my own boundaries. It needs training, and I'm sure actually it maybe gets easier, but it's always somehow hard.
Yeah, that's true. And it's definitely work in progress. And
Mm.
thank you very much for being here today. And I wish you
Thank you,
all the
Alma.
best and the best of luck with your career and with development of everything you're working on.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
All the best.
You have listened to The Art She Manages. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show and leave a positive review on whichever platform you're listening. It really helps more people discover these stories. Feel free to share the episode with someone you think would be inspired by it. Until next time!